Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm your host, and today we are looking at a really fascinating stack of documents.
Yeah, I'm your resident technical expert for today, and I have to say, this material is pretty mind-blowing once you get into it.
It really is. We're looking at technical service documents, some strategic operations manuals, and concept explainers from a company called I-40 Roadside Assistance.
Right, and they have like over 30 years of hands-on technical experience operating in the North Carolina Piedmont corridor.
Exactly. And our mission for this deep dive is to completely, fundamentally shift how you, the listener, think about vehicle breakdowns.
Because we're dissecting what they call a mobile-first mindset, and it completely upends the traditional logic of what you're actually supposed to do when a vehicle fails.
Okay, to really grasp why this mobile-first philosophy is so revolutionary, I want you to picture something. You are navigating the merging lane chaos of I-40.
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
Right. You're in the North Carolina Piedmont. You're doing like 70 miles an hour trying to keep up with the flow of traffic. And suddenly,
You feel it.
yes, you feel it. A shuddering rhythmic vibration creeping up through the steering rack. Or even worse, you hear that heavy, slapping hiss of a tire losing its bead.
And your adrenaline just spikes immediately. You wrestle the car onto the nearest shoulder, you throw it in park, and this very specific internal script starts playing in your head.
Right. It's always like, I have to call a tow truck. I'm going to be sitting on this exposed shoulder for 3 hours, inches away from semi-trucks blowing past.
Yeah, and paying hundreds of dollars.
Exactly. Paying hundreds for a haul to some random garage, and I'm about to lose 2 entire days of productivity.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like an absolute catastrophic emergency.
And historically, that instinctual panic was completely justified. But that entire script is based on an outdated automotive reality. I mean, the physical landscape of how cars are built has completely changed over the last 2 decades.
But our psychology hasn't updated to match it. Okay, let's unpack this, because this is the core of the documents we are analyzing today.
Yeah, it really is.
The mobile-first mindset proposes something radical. Like, what if a breakdown wasn't a catastrophic emergency, but just a managed inconvenience?
Right.
Instead of defaulting to a tow truck, what if the absolute best, most efficient way to handle a roadside failure is to fix the vehicle exactly where it stands?
And to understand the logic there, you kind of have to transition away from how we used to view cars. For almost a century, a car was essentially, well, a mechanical beast.
Just gears and pistons.
Exactly. A brute force collection of gears, pistons, and physical cables. If something snapped, you dragged it onto a flatbed truck and hauled it away. But today, your car is no longer just mechanical. It's a highly sensitive rolling data center.
Yeah, the documents specifically point to the engine control unit, the ECU, as the central brain of this digital ecosystem.
Yeah.
And in this new computerized reality, your tires aren't just, pieces of rubber separating metal from asphalt.
No, not at all. The ECU actually treats your tires as tactile sensors.
Tactile sensors. That's crazy to think about.
Right. They're feeding a continuous, real-time data stream back to the brain. And the primary metric it's looking for is rotations per mile.
So it's basically counting how fast the wheels are turning.
Exactly. The ECU relies on the physical dimensions of the tires in contact with the pavement to calculate almost every dynamic function of the vehicle. Fuel injection mapping, transmission shift points, emergency braking algorithms.
Wow.
Yeah, it all relies on the strict mathematical assumption that your 4 tires are a specific factory-calibrated height.
Which introduces a really crucial automotive standard mentioned in our sources, and that's the 3% tire rule. This dictates that if you replace a tire, the new one cannot be more than 3% taller or shorter than the original factory specification.
Right, which is a tiny margin of error when you think about it.
It is. It's like trying to sprint while wearing one sneaker and one high heel. Your brain miscalculates your balance. It thinks the ground is in one place when it's actually in another, and you just fall over.
That is a perfect analogy. The car's brain does the exact same thing when the heights don't match. And what's fascinating here is how that corrupted data causes this massive cascade of system failures.
Right. Tell us about the physics of that.
Well, let's say you throw a random mismatched spare tire on your car just to get off the highway, and it happens to be 5% taller than your other tires. That taller tire has a larger overall circumference.
Okay, makes sense.
Because it is physically larger, it travels further with every single revolution. This means it rotates slower than the other three wheels over the course of a mile.
And the car has wheel speed sensors on every hub, right? So it immediately notices that one wheel is dragging behind the others mathematically.
Exactly. And the ECU doesn't know you put a mismatched tire on. It just sees the data and assumes something is critically wrong with the drivetrain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. First, your transmission shift points get completely confused. An automatic transmission relies on wheel speed to time its gear changes. So if the data is corrupted, it might hold a gear too long, pushing the engine into really high RPMs.
Or shift too early and bog down the engine.
Exactly. You will suffer sluggish performance, and eventually you could burn out the internal clutch packs of the transmission.
That sounds expensive. But the safety implications laid out in the manuals are even more alarming to me. Because modern safety systems are active, right? They physically intervene to stop crashes before they happen.
Right. Think about your anti-lock braking system, the ABS.
Yeah, it prevents the wheels from locking up during a panic stop by pulsing the brakes.
But if that mismatched tire is feeding the ECU an artificially slow rotation speed, the ABS system misinterprets the threshold of a lockup. When you slam on the brakes, the ABS might engage prematurely, which drastically increases your stopping distance.
Or it might just fail to engage entirely and send you into a dangerous skid.
Exactly. And the electronic stability control, or ESC, is even more sensitive to this. I mean, ESC is an incredible piece of technology designed to balance your car during a near crash.
Using all those sensors.
Right. It uses a yaw sensor to measure the vehicle's rotation around its center axis, and a steering angle sensor to measure where you are trying to turn the wheel.
So if those two sensors don't align, meaning the car is sliding sideways, the ESC calculates exactly which individual wheel needs braking power to straighten the chassis out.
But here's the kicker. If your mismatched tire is feeding corrupted rotation data to that system, the ESC's math is inherently flawed.
Oh, no.
Yeah. In the middle of a highway slide, the car's computer could literally apply heavy braking power to the absolute wrong wheel.
Taking a minor fishtail and turning it into a violent, uncontrollable spin-out into a concrete barrier.
Exactly. Precision tire height is quite literally a matter of life and death for the car's computer.
And this creates a massive dilemma for modern drivers. Because like you said, precision is so vital, you can't just slap any random tire on the car. And yet, if you open the trunk of almost any vehicle manufactured in the last 5 years, you're going to notice something missing.
Yeah, no spare tires.
Modern cars do not come with spare tires. Manufacturers have replaced them with these molded foam inserts, holding these flimsy, honestly, often useless 12-volt inflator kits.
Yeah, they did it to shave a few pounds off the vehicle weight to meet strict fuel efficiency standards. But, I mean, it leaves the driver incredibly vulnerable.
Because traditionally, having no spare tire meant an automatic mandatory tow to a repair shop.
Right. And I-40 Roadside Assistance solves this exact modern dilemma by bridging the gap between the missing spare tire and the highly sensitive vehicle computer. They bring physical, mathematically compatible tire inventory directly to the shoulder of the highway.
That's amazing.
They arrive with the precise tire size required by the ECU. It's available for purchase and installation right there on the asphalt, perfectly satisfying that strict 3% rule.
But wait, hang on, let me stop you there for a second.
Sure.
Do I really need them to bring a whole brand new tire out to the highway? Like if I just drove through a construction zone and picked up a roofing nail, why not just plug the hole and save the cash? Why go straight to a replacement?
Well, that comes down to the strict rules of tire physics and the engineering standards set by the Tire Industry Association. I mean, a technician cannot simply plug any puncture they find.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A tire is fundamentally divided into two distinct structural zones, the tread and the sidewall, and they handle trauma and physical stress entirely differently.
Okay, the tread being the thick rubber actually making contact with the road surface.
Correct. The center tread area, specifically the zone between the outer shoulder ribs, is heavily reinforced. It is engineered with layers of steel belts and rigid fabric cords designed specifically to withstand impacts and punctures.
So it's tough.
Very tough. If a nail goes straight through that heavily armored center tread and the puncture is under 1/4 of an inch in diameter, it is structurally safe to repair.
And the efficiency of that specific repair is a major point in these documents. If the technician diagnoses a simple tread puncture, I-40 Roadside fixes it right there on site for a standardized price of $90.
And the whole process takes just 15 to 30 minutes.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You don't get towed, your car doesn't sit in a garage bay for 2 days, and you are immediately back in traffic.
It is a brilliantly streamlined process. However, if that same nail happens to pierce the sidewall of the tire is permanently dead. I mean, there is no plugging it, there is no attaching it.
Mechanically speaking, though, why is the side of the tire so much more vulnerable than the bottom?
Because the sidewall is the structural backbone of the entire tire, but it doesn't have those rigid steel belts. It bears the entire weight of the vehicle through pneumatic tension.
So it's holding back all that air pressure.
Exactly. It is designed to act almost like a spring. Think about the physical motion. As the tire rolls, the sidewall bulges out at the bottom where it meets the road and then snaps back straight as it rotates to the top. It is doing this bending and flexing thousands of times per mile.
Wow, so it is enduring constant high-speed kinetic movement and massive heat cycles.
Yes, and because of that constant, aggressive flexing, placing a rigid patch on a sidewall puncture creates a catastrophic physical conflict known as interply shear.
Interplay shear.
Yeah. The internal layers of the tire, the rubber and the polyester cords, will literally pull and stretch at different rates than the patch. They will rub and grind against the patch until the friction and heat cause the adhesive to completely delaminate.
So the patch just shreds from the inside out.
Exactly. And if that fails, while you are doing 70 miles an hour on the interstate, you suffer an explosive blowout. So for the driver's safety, any sidewall damage dictates a mandatory replacement tire.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Once you digest the fact that a mobile technician can arrive on a high-speed shoulder, properly diagnose a puncture, respect the mathematical 3% rule, and perform a precision fix in 20 minutes.
You start to see the bigger picture.
Exactly. You begin to look at the entire vehicle differently. The philosophy shifts entirely toward something I-40 Roadside calls asset preservation.
Yes, because dragging a highly electronic modern vehicle onto a flatbed tow truck is a genuinely risky physical procedure.
Right. If you own a vehicle with a sophisticated all-wheel drive system, or like low-profile aerodynamic bodywork, the act of winching that car up a steep 15-degree metal flatbed ramp can cause immense damage.
It's brutal on the car.
You risk scraping off the front fascia, straining the suspension geometry, and misaligning the frame. And if the tow operator doesn't put the AWD system into the proper transport mode, dragging it can literally overheat and destroy the center differential.
Which is a nightmare.
So the overarching goal of asset preservation is to fix the car exactly where it stands to avoid the inherent violence of a tow truck at all costs.
Not to mention, bypassing the tow truck means bypassing the 200 to 300% labor markups that traditional brick-and-mortar shops often charge once they have your immobilized vehicle held captive in their service bay.
Oh, absolutely.
And this mobile-first preservation mindset applies to nearly every common roadside disaster, well beyond tire failures.
Like take a dead battery, for example.
Yeah.
The old instinct was to call a guy, he hooks up some jumper cables, you get a few sparks, the engine turns over, and you drive away.
Right. But I-40 Roadside's operational protocols dictate that they don't just show up to jump a battery. I mean, every single no-start situation is treated as a holistic diagnostic puzzle.
They dig deeper.
Exactly. Before they replace anything, they test the alternator's voltage output and measure the internal health of the battery cells. They need to know why the vehicle died.
Because throwing a jump pack on a car with a completely fried alternator just means the car's going to die again 2 miles down the road.
Exactly. And if their diagnostic testing reveals the battery is chemically exhausted and must be replaced, they perform what they call a clean install right there on the roadside.
The documents emphasize this clean install a lot. Mechanically, what separates that from just dropping a new battery in the tray and tightening the bolts?
Well, a clean install is meticulous. First, it involves the full removal of any terminal oxidation, that crusty blue and white acidic buildup you often see on battery posts.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible.
Right. That oxidation acts as an electrical insulator. It creates massive resistance, forcing the alternator to work twice as hard to push voltage through the electrical system.
Which eventually burns out the alternator.
Yes. So they remove that, apply anti-corrosive treatments, and most importantly, they ensure the absolute secure fitment of the hold-down brackets.
The physical brackets clamping the battery to the car frame. Why are those so critical to the battery's lifespan?
Well, inside a standard automotive battery, you have heavy grids made of lead suspended in a bath of sulfuric acid.
Okay.
If the hold-down bracket is loose, the normal vibration from driving down the highway causes the entire battery case to shake.
Makes sense.
And over time, that shaking causes tiny flakes of lead to physically break off those internal grids. The lead flakes fall and accumulate at the bottom of the battery casing. Eventually, that pile of lead grows high enough to touch both the positive and negative plates simultaneously.
Creating a direct internal short circuit.
Exactly. The battery essentially boils itself to death from the inside. This is called vibration-induced plate damage, and a proper, secure, clean install prevents it entirely.
We also see this asset preservation mindset applied to lockouts in these manuals. Say you're distracted at a rest stop, you leave your keys on the driver's seat, and the door locks behind you.
The classic mistake.
Yeah, and my dad used to just unfold a wire coat hanger or slide a long metal Slim Jim down the window glass to blindly fish for the lock rod. Why can't a roadside tech just do that today?
Oh man, if you shove a metal Slim Jim into the door cavity of a modern vehicle, you're almost guaranteed to destroy something expensive.
Really?
Oh yeah. Modern doors are not empty metal shells anymore. They are tightly packed with delicate window regulators, capacitive touch sensors, and woven wiring harnesses for the side impact airbags.
So you're basically probing blindly into a dense electrical grid.
Yes. If that metal bar hooks the bright yellow wiring harness for the side curtain airbag, you could sever the connection, triggering a $1,000 sensor repair bill. Or worse, the static electricity or physical pinch could accidentally deploy an explosive airbag directly into the technician's face.
Oh my goodness, that's terrifying.
It is. That's why the I-40 Roadside Operations Manual strictly prohibits the use of Slim Jims.
So what do they do instead? The manual says technicians use professional-grade, specialized tools for damage-minimized entry.
Right.
They use things like calibrated inflatable air wedges to gently separate the door frame, just enough to insert a specialized long-reach tool.
Exactly. And this allows them to press the unlock button from the inside of the cabin, completely bypassing the internal door cavity.
That protocol ensures that the door alignment, the weather stripping seals, and all those internal electronics remain completely unharmed.
Right. They preserve both the structural and aesthetic integrity of the vehicle, and they also apply this high-speed efficiency to emergency fuel delivery. Like, if you misjudge the distance to the next exit and run the tank dry, they arrive with the precise type of fuel required, unleaded or diesel, and can properly prime modern fuel pumps to get the engine running again in 10 to 20 minutes.
It sounds incredible having a perfectly stocked rolling workshop come to you.
Oh.
But executing these high-tech precision repairs while semi-trucks are blowing past at 80 miles an hour requires military-level logistics.
It really does.
How do they actually pull that off without putting the driver at risk?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the logistical execution is exactly where massive national roadside assistance clubs often fail.
The big names we all know.
Right. When you pay a yearly fee for a national brand, they are routing your emergency call through a centralized call center hundreds of miles away. They dispatch whoever's cheapest in their network, and they often struggle because they simply do not know the specific localized bottlenecks of the area you are stranded in.
Right. They don't know that exit 153 has a dangerous blind curve, or that a specific stretch of I-85 has zero shoulder width.
Exactly. I-40 Roadside thrives specifically because of their hyper-local focus.
Because they operate exclusively within the I-40 and I-85 corridors in the North Carolina Piedmont. They provide rapid response coverage specifically for Mebane, Burlington, Eflin, Chapel Hill, Durham, Graham, and Hillsborough.
They know every single mile marker, on-ramp, and local traffic pattern.
And they leverage that geographical expertise through a very strict, standardized workflow. They utilize a three-step rescue process designed specifically to minimize the amount of time a driver spends exposed on a dangerous highway shoulder.
Yeah, that first step is the technical intake.
Right.
When you call, they don't just ask vaguely where you are. I mean, they demand the exact mile marker, the nearest exit number, and a detailed diagnostic of the vehicle symptoms before you even attempt to restart the engine.
They want the exact make, model, and year of the car.
And that intense intake process enables step 2, tech dispatch. And their operational directive here is brilliant. The rule is strictly no scouting.
No scouting. Because traditional towing companies love to scout. They send a truck out just to look at the car.
Yeah, the driver spends an hour getting there, looks at it, shrugs, and says, "Yep, it's broken. Let me call a different truck to tow it."
And you just waste hours.
Right. No scouting means the I-40 technician departs the facility with a mobile unit that is already pre-stocked based on that initial diagnostic intake.
So if you have a tire issue, they arrive with the mathematically correct tire size to satisfy the ECU.
Exactly. If it's a dead battery, they have the exact battery group size and terminal configuration for your specific car. I mean, they arrive to resolve the issue, not to investigate it.
Which leads seamlessly into step 3, back on the road. Complete resolution right where the vehicle stands. And throughout this entire 3-step workflow, They maintain a strict commitment to transparency.
Yeah, communication is huge for them.
Because they've diagnosed the issue during the intake call, they provide clear upfront pricing before a single tool is lifted. Plus, they maintain constant communication about their ETA, so you never feel abandoned on the shoulder.
They strip away all the uncertainty that makes breakdowns so terrifying in the first place.
So what does this all mean? We started this deep dive talking about that visceral, sinking, panicked feeling of a highway breakdown.
Yeah, the adrenaline spike.
Why does all of this deep technical mechanics, the ECU calculations, the 3% rule, interply shear, battery plate damage, why does understanding this matter to you?
It matters because realizing that a modern breakdown is mostly just a temporary technical data problem and not a catastrophic towing emergency, it gives you back your power.
It saves your time, it shields you from massive labor markups, and it physically protects your expensive high-tech vehicle from the damage of a flatbed tow.
It allows you to shift your mindset entirely from I am helpless to I am managing a temporary inconvenience.
And if you ever find yourself driving through the North Carolina Piedmont, passing through Burlington, Mebane, or Chapel Hill, and you hear that hiss or feel that shudder in the steering wheel, you can rely on this team's 3 decades of experience to manage it for you. You can skip the tow truck entirely and call them directly at 336-898-1570. Or, to save their information in your phone right now, just in case, you can email them at info@i40roadside.com or check out their exact service map at www.i40roadside.com.
You know, going through all these technical manuals leaves me with this one thought. We constantly hear about how our cars are becoming smarter.
Right, they are essentially autonomous driving supercomputers at this point.
Exactly. And the common assumption is that as this technology advances, we will need human mechanics less and less.
That's the narrative, yeah.
But this deep dive highlights a wonderful paradox. The more computerized, strict, and fragile our vehicles become, like that unforgiving 3% tire rule, the more entirely dependent we are on hyper-local, grease-on-the-hands human experts.
Wow, that's a great point.
We need humans who can physically drive out to the shoulder of a dangerous highway, brave the traffic, and use their physical hands to bridge the gap between the asphalt and the algorithm.
I think that is a beautifully articulated paradox to leave you with today. Bridging the gap between the asphalt and the algorithm. We hope this shifts how you view your next roadside inconvenience. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.